I just,
Randomly.
yeah.
I like that.
Did I forget you? Good evening. Wednesday, March 9th, Town of Cicero, regular town board meeting. Welcome, everyone. Note that there's 2 exits in the back of the room and 1 up front. We will start by saying the Pledge of Allegiance. Mr. Snyder, do you want to lead us tonight? Standing for those who are serving in harm's way and those who are enduring the war in Ukraine. Thank you. Before we start our meeting, anyone wishing to speak on the current agenda item, we had a sheet out back. This is not for the regular meeting at the end, just for discussion on the agenda items. You do not have to sign up for the public input at the end. Pardon me? Or the hearing. Anyone wishing to speak on the current agenda items, please sign in. Just a reminder, the public will only be able to speak on the agenda items if they are on the sign-up sheet. Those wishing to speak during a public meeting, public input do not have to sign in. Individual speakers are not to exceed 3 minutes, and members of the public cannot yield their time to other public members or members of the public. The board will not engage with speakers during comment. Individuals with concerns that require a response are asked to contact the supervisor's office or individual board members. We'll start off. Does anybody wish to comment or speak on any agenda items that are on here? No, just the agenda items per se, but thanks. You're welcome.
We'll make this more clear in the future. Jeannie did.
So with no one wishing to speak tonight, we'll go into number 2 with, oh, go ahead. Oh, sorry. Did you raise your hand? I'm sorry. I did not, come on up. I did not see you. I apologize.
So my name is Pete Nazarenko. I live at 7042 Lakeshore Road. So agenda item number 4, reserve fund splash park, Williams Park. So I guess more questions, just trying to find out exactly what the project is. There was no announcements about it. I just kind of heard through the grape that was going on. Didn't see any previous agendas or anything like that. I dug some stuff up in meeting minutes, but not the actual items. So I don't know, like, am I allowed to ask questions?
I will refer this to Teresa.
Yeah, I'm actually going to be presenting on that when we get to the
Okay.
agenda item, unless you want me to
Oh, no.
talk about it now.
I guess at the end of the meeting, we could talk to
Yeah, I
once
was going
it's
to invite,
presented.
yeah, I was going to invite people after the meeting if they wanted to look at some of the drawings or things that I brought along.
Okay, I'll wait till that then. Thanks.
Thank you. Anyone else? I apologize. I did not see him. We'll move on to number 2. Counselor White.
Approval of abstracts. Resolved, the Cicero Town Board approves abstract numbers 8 dated 2/22/22 and number 9 dated 3/1/22.
Second.
Discussion. All in favor?
Aye.
Anyone wish to vote no or abstain? Passed. Number 3, public hearing to consider the application for zone change from agricultural to neighborhood commercial for the property located at Thompson Road, tax map number 5601-21-4. I waive to the reading of this legal notice. I move to waive the reading of the legal notice.
Second.
Any board comments? All in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Anyone opposed? Wish to vote no? Abstain? Passed. We'll open the actually, what time is it? It is 6:35. We'll open the meeting for 6:35 tonight. Pardon me? I am. No. Before we start the public discussion, anyone represent the representatives for the zone change you'd like to speak on behalf? And give a brief presentation if you would.
My name is Christian Freeman from Coupling and Freeman Associates. Thank you for having me before the board, and thank you for me in public. So the project that we wish zone change for is a large parcel, give or take 40 acres of the parcel, most of which, there you go. In blue is the area we are wishing zone change. Thank you for bringing that up. There's a large agricultural parcel that would be paring down to a neighborhood commercial zoning. Now, this zoning distinction, as you know, but for the public's sake, I'll state it. Neighborhood commercial is a smaller scale zone change. So the reason we're going with neighborhood commercial is two-part. Number one, we find that the use is smaller in scale and fits in this corridor. You'll see is sort of a between residential and commercial corridor. It is neither commercial nor residential, sort of between both. We felt that having a zone that is both scaled for a neighborhood size, but also has the ability to have a business in it would be appropriate. And number two, the reason we're going with this distinction for zoning, or we'd like to get approval for this distinction of zoning, is that neighborhood commercial zoning is friendlier to the town and its neighbors in terms of its scale. So the restrictions on the building sizes and setbacks are at a smaller scale, which caters more towards the residential nature of the houses and parcels that go due north of the project. The business that we're putting in here is a small, it says publishing company. It's a resident of North Syracuse, Cicero area, who is a college professor. He writes on reading and he helps kids with disabilities. They would have one truck shipment every month or so, and they have 5 employees. So you're not seeing a heavy traffic output. I'll stand by for questions, and I'll open it up to the public unless you have any questions for me.
The size of your building?
So neighborhood commercial zoning says, I clarified with Steve, the size can be under 8,000. We're looking in the first stage to be at around 4,000. And if in the event they wanted to add on a small garage or piece in the future, we'd come back obviously for approval. We still would not be close to that 8,000.
Thank you. Anyone else? No?
Thank you.
Thanks. At this time, we'll ask anyone to speak for or against the project. Have to come up. Just state your name and your address.
Yep, my name is Elizabeth Doherty. I live at 302 Leroy Road, which is the Bellwood development, just the other side of Thompson Road for this. I understand better now the distinction between the commercial and the neighborhood commercial. I personally don't think they need to make that change. I think there's enough other spaces that they could. I understand that further towards the Taft Road area, we do have more commercial properties, but we're talking about bringing this one up and into the more residential neighborhoods. That scares me because you open that door, it doesn't necessarily shut. I'm sure there's a fair number of people in the town of Clay who would agree with that. But my other thing is there is wildlife area around that as well. I'm just bringing in a building that size is going to harm the wildlife. It's going to bring, even though it's not a lot, it is going to bring new traffic in. It just, that area is more residential, and I just don't think that we need to make that change. I know the town is looking for more tax input. I just don't think this is the way to go to do it. Thank you.
Thank you. Anyone else? Come on up.
Good evening. Joyce Villeneuve, Ontario Ave. looked at that was given, the drawing for the planning board, and there were two sections, and neither one of them that was shown in that drawing was under 5,000 square feet. And according to the town code book, neighborhood commercial district should be under 5,000 square feet, and the uses are located on town highways or relatively non-intense country highways and are characterized by their small size, less than 5,000 square feet, and their low traffic generation. It also says that the primary market is for the immediate neighborhood, and I just don't think that this particular designation is correct for what they want to do. Thank you.
Thank you, Jerry. Anyone else? Any board comments? I'll say that this went in front of the Onondaga County Planning, and then it was referred to the town planning board. And the planning board on Wednesday, February 16th, 2022, voted to recommend that the Casey and Kirsch Publishing Thompson Road tax map 056-01-21.4 zone changed to the town, was referred to the town board. Recommended, correct. Recommended. Anyone else? Any questions?
Well, sure. I'm pretty familiar with this parcel. I grew up in Hiller Heights and I bought a house in Hiller Heights, so I drive down Thompson Road all the time. I like seeing the open space, like a lot of people in the area do. I used to like seeing it on Northern Boulevard, and that's changing. And, you know, we all like that, but things get developed. Cicero used to have a lot more open space than it does, and it's going to continue to have less, whether we like it or not. Neighborhood commercial district is intended for a non-intense use. This is a non-intense use. I would remind people this is an agricultural district, and if you look at some of the things that are allowed in agricultural districts, ag districts actually allow uses that are more intense than this, or more unpleasant for the people around it. If you've ever lived near or been near an actual working farm, which someone could put there, it can be a lot louder, it's certainly a lot noisier, and also, frankly, a lot smellier. You know, Mr. Germain, is it binding on the town necessarily? It says the primary market, you know, it says it's intended for relatively small standalone commercial users whose primary market is the immediate neighborhood. Is that necessarily binding? Okay. You know, this district, this property, the owner wants to sell it. It is going to be developed, sold, and it is going to be developed at some point one way or another. I think this is a low intensity use. While I like seeing the farmland there when I drive by it pretty much every day, I'd rather see this than some of the other things that might end up there in the future. I don't think this is really going to cause a detriment to the surrounding area, so I'm going to be a yes vote.
Anyone else wish to speak? With that being said, oh, go ahead.
Steve, what is your, is it 8,000? Is it 5,000?
So the bulk regulations allow a maximum building size of 8,000 square feet in a neighborhood commercial district. There is a bit of a disconnect between the statement of intent with the actual bulk regulations.
Okay.
Permit you to have.
Okay, thank you.
And that is in the statement of intent that Mr. Procopio just referred to. It all, later on, it also says the bulk regulations for neighborhood commercial are set forth in Article 5, which is where he's getting the 8,000 from, correct,
Yeah.
Mr. Procopio?
8,000 is for the building, not the lot. So in the bulk regulations, it allows a building area of 8,000 square feet.
We should address that disconnect at some point.
Anyone else?
Explain that more? I'm sorry.
So in the schedule of bulk regulations in all zoning districts, it lists the building setbacks,
Correct.
lot coverage, building area. So in a neighbor, in that schedule for neighborhood commercial permits a building of 8,000 square feet, even though the statement of intent says usually, ordinarily, or customarily are of a lesser size. The bulk regulations allow you a building up to 8,000 square feet, and the planning board also has the ability
To regulate that as well.
yes.
Our is just it's the zone change. Like
Yes,
that's
that's correct.
Yeah.
Yes.
I'm so sorry,
Christian.
Christian.
You want me to just kind of address comment by comment?
Say that again?
Would you like me to address some of the public comments?
Sure.
Sure. Okay, so the first one I'd like to address is, number one, I guess, the character of the site. I believe I also have submitted elevations and renderings of the building. Do you have those? Okay. I have a little 11 by 17. For scale, because we're talking numbers, and sometimes it's hard to understand exactly what numbers mean. This is what an 8,000, this is a 5,000 square foot building, give or take. I think it's actually less. I would say it's 4,500 right now. This is what a 4,500 square foot building like to scale with people. And again, in terms of character, we're trying to pare it down to sort of meet a neighborhoodly scale, a more residential scale versus a big bucks commercial development. Second item I'd like to address is the size of the site. Because if you see there's a boot shape in the grass there, sort of pointing to the right, kind of like looking like Italy, that is the agriculturally mowed down area. In there, you'll see that's sort of the pastoral look that we're talking about. The areas all around that are wooded, and those areas are quite wet and undevelopable. But on our site plan, we have a line that delineates a wetland boundary that we had flagged in the field. When environmental scientists go out and look at it, she gave us a mapping of the boundary. From there, we have 100 feet beyond, we can't touch. So much of that blue zone that we have up there will not be touched, ever.
So do you have a driveway?
Yeah, do you have a,
I don't-
For the zone change, we just provided this.
Okay,
map.
all right.
This is not site plan, so we didn't, you have this.
Right.
site plan
Understood.
We're dipping deep.
Okay.
Yeah, I'd be happy, I have 11 by 17s, I'd be happy to get into it, but
Yeah,
Okay.
if I'm wasting time, it's.
Yeah, this-
No.
Okay, let me pull that up.
I think it's also good if we do have further zone changes in the town where we want to have a building put on it, that they should put something up there. Even though we're not the planning board, it would be nice to show the residents in the town what you're building in their neighborhood or around the neighborhood, and what the town board can see what they're voting on. Not just a blue line up on the top, whether the planning board already gave us, they're okay to do it and the county gave us okay. We want to kind of like filter it all the way through the process, what would be awesime.
Absolutely.
Fortunately, in the near future, with the equipment we've ordered
Yeah.
recently, we'll be able to do this.
Mhm.
on the
And it would be easy for you probably to do this, if I'm not mistaken, if you have these, we're getting.
We'd be looking now.
Yeah, thing, I think that's. one
You
of
did,
the-
you're okay.
Yeah, so here's a site plan. It's small, I understand. So what it is it has the small building, there's a little outdoor seating area, there's planting, screening. Over here, this dark dashed line, those are the delineated wetlands, meaning they're official. They are there. And now that they're flagged, they're there forever. There's a 100-foot buffer beyond we cannot touch. So that's already giving you a good 200 feet. That entire appendage to the south in blue, that whole little rectangle will never be touched of that piece. We just broke it out so that there wasn't another arbitrary property line. So we're inheriting a piece of wetland in this zone change that will never be developed upon. And I'll show this to the public now. This line here is the wetlands. This line here is a buffer, neither of which we can develop upon or touch. So this whole appendage here in blue, I'll orient it for up there. This whole area there will never be touched. And as we know, wetlands, this boundary doesn't just go like this. If they continue delineating for the entire parcel, it would continue. What you have there is more undevelopable land that will stay undevelopable.
And approximate driveway.
Sure. So we've looked at the road, the grades, and I did a very preliminary talk with county DOT because it is a county road. And the best place for it is a visible location. in this spot, there's a small dip area. Other than that, it's very wide open. The location of that, let's see, it's towards the center of the boot shape. It's north more along that blue parcel. It's
Okay.
above the C and Casey and Kirsch.
Oh, okay, right.
Yeah.
Perfect. And what's the little spot between the red and the blue? And the-
Sure, that's an existing residence.
Okay. Thank you.
Thank you.
Five employees.
Yes, 5 employees.
Any other board comments? No, I can't see it's 6:50. We'll close the public hearing. Oh, I'm sorry.
Just wanted to clarify, because the same question came up during a planning board meeting. They're a publishing company, but they do not print books. They get a load of books once a month at the most. And then what they're doing is boxing those things and shipping them out. The other thing they plan to do in the building is because they're reading oriented, they will have classroom space where teachers can come and be educated in this particular teaching method. And they'll also have their thought said they might actually expand that to onboard coaching. Well, I can't, word is.
Tutoring.
Tutoring, very good, thank you. So that's another thing. And that sort of helps some of us kind of, for sure, make sure that this zone change is proper. Because it will have, able to have an impact on the neighborhood.
Thank you,
So
Don.
But they're not a publishing company. There's not a lot of vehicles. They said they get usually one pickup each day. And UPS would come in or would come in and would load out of the front door. So it's actually quite
Low use.
very low use.
Specialized.
Yes.
Thank you. Come on up.
Shader, 7286 Bridgeport Monroe Road. I live away from this, but where I live, within a quarter of a mile of my house, I've been there for 2 years. There's a tractor trailer terminal and 3 used car lots in a closed restaurant. I would welcome that building anywhere near me, the way it looks. Thank you.
Thank you. Anyone else? We will close the public hearing at 6:52. Can I get a motion? Closing? No motion. Okay. So move the adoption of resolution that the application of David and Andrea Kilpatrick are requesting a zone change from agricultural to neighborhood commercial for the use for the property located at Thompson Road, part of military lot 93. Tax map number 056.01-21.4 is an unlisted action for the purpose of the seeker compliance. The project filed an environmental impact statement, short form. The proposed action does not require permit granting authority outside the town. Granting the application will not have a negative impact on the environment and does not require the preparation of a draft environmental impact statement.
Second.
Discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
And wish to vote no or abstain? Passed. Moved for the adoption of a resolution approving denying a zone change from agricultural to neighborhood commercial for the property located at Thompson Road, part of military lot 93, tax number map number 056.01-21.4, to be known as local law number 2 of 2022.
Second.
Discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Anyone opposed? Wish to vote no? Approving. I apologize. Approving this motion.
I'll second that amendment if that's, we need to do that. Yeah.
We'll second it. Discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Wish to vote no or abstain, passed. We'll move on to number 4. Expanding 277 reserve fund and be lead agency for seeker review for splash pad project at Williams Park. Whereas the state has awarded the town of Cicero a state and municipal facilities program SAM grant for improvements Joseph F. Williams Memorial Park in the amount of $250,000. Whereas DASNY's review of our grant requires proof of all funding sources to finance the cap project, and whereas an adopted board resolution is requested as proof that the town is committing funds towards this project. Therefore, be resolved that the town of Cicero agrees to expand the funds necessary to complete the proposed enhancement project at Williams Park from the 277 reserve in an estimate of $135,000. And be it further resolved that the town board agrees to be lead agency for review of this project.
Second.
Discussion. I had some discussion with Teresa about this project and the monies that are going towards the project from the 277 fund. It's been provided to the town, and I was assured that the project is being funded fully by both of those funds. And we are not looking to spend any more money on this park. And I was assured that it would not cost more than what we plan on doing. I know Teresa has a budget on this. I know things are going up, but I am not okay with a project like this going hundreds of thousands of dollars more than we will spend. So I think in that we kind of use the monies that we have to finish this project. Anyone else? No? Just Teresa, you want to speak on the project?
Yeah,
Go ahead.
yeah. Do you have to wait for the resolution to pass, or do you want me to?
Nope.
Okay.
We'll let you speak
Um,
now.
And you had said expand, but just expend was the word for, to spend that money, just
Sure.
that way. So, sorry.
Let me comment one more thing on this. And with our projects that are coming to the town from internal, I would like to see before, in the future, before any of these projects where we're spending hundreds of thousands of dollars on projects like this, where we hire an architect, get a plan together and show it to the public and what we're spending funds on. I think it's very important for people to understand that we're going to put this we're going to make this project happen, but I want people to be informed in the town, have a more open government. When I say I'm going to spend $350,000 on a project, and everybody up here and say yes all day long, but everyone in this room in the public are going to say, well, what are we getting for our money? I'd like to see something first before we just throw our, not that the project's not going to be nice. I'm not taking that away from the project, but I'd like to see more plans before we do something. I wouldn't want to build something in the town without showing somebody. So this is kind of like a project that was back in a few years ago that started, and Teresa was appointed as the Parks Director here. And I'm not going to blame Teresa for any of this, but I in the future, somebody here in the room, and I know there's going to be questions up here. What is this going to look like? I just want to make sure that we're open with everyone. Go ahead, Teresa.
Okay, so we did have plans or pictures of the proposed splash park. We had, my predecessor had gotten a couple, and I have as well. But in order to get plans that you're talking about, you have to hire an engineer or architect to do that. And that's the phase that we're at. I mean, at your meeting last month, you voted to allow me to hire her to do that. So we, since then, in the past month, have gotten property surveyed. We've started seeker review. We've applied for the permit through DEC, which we need because the parking lot is bordering a wetland property. But anyway, I do have pictures and I will certainly forward them to you guys. And if anyone wants to come up after the meeting, I'll share them. Today, I just got the conceptual site plans from the engineer now that I know, after getting the survey a week ago, so that we picked out playground features where, it really determined, it depends on what we pick, playground features and the splash pad and so, it's just coming together, but we'll definitely have pictures and share with you. But I just wanted to give a brief overview of what the project involves, and reinforce that the funds for this project, none of this is coming out of the town's budget. It has nothing to do with, tax revenue or anything that the 277 account is a reserve fund that has been, funds have been set aside for years for developers, and they put money is set aside. They don't have, they're required to step to their project. And if that's not available, then they put money into a fund, and then the town and the Parks Department uses that money to go toward future park enhancement projects. So we've had, over probably 100 projects the town has done over the last, 30 years using these funds. But I can say in the last decade, my predecessor has, noted in there that the intent was to try to get enough money so that we could do this splash pad. So the $250,000 grant, mainly I have to do a specific budget for the project. So overall, the project is going to cost $385,000. The $250,000 that comes from the SAM grant is basically $240,000 of that is going to cover the splash pad, the equipment splash pad in the installation, and then a little bit toward the playground equipment. Our portion, the town's portion from the 277 is going to cover the rest, and I can list off what's going to happen. So the project is to install a new splash pad in the beach area of William Park. It's a 50 by 50 square pad. It's to have about 16, 17 spray features. We're going to remove the old playground equipment and install some new all-inclusive play features. We're going to enhance the overflow parking lot area, basically by clearing some dead vegetation and striping it and adding some stone. We're going to add some signage and fencing, additional security cameras, and one or two beach volleyball courts. So that's the entire project. I do have pictures of the splash pad features that we're planning to go with, and it looks awesome. We're in the midst of trying to determine the playground features, but basically I'm backing it out, the cost. So right now I have to turn in the paperwork Friday to DASNY with all updated estimates for everything involved in the, and it's not going to go over the 385. So I'm paring back the playground equipment if I see anything is going over budget from the estimates I had gotten a few months ago. So that's the gist. Does anyone have any specific questions? I can pass up the pictures if you want to see any of them now, but the seeker review, we're in the midst of at this point, and the determination I'll probably know here in the next couple of weeks, and that'll be on a future agenda.
Thank you, Teresa. Anyone else? We're going to vote. All in favor? Oh. At the end of the meeting, at the very end. Any other board members? No? Wish to vote? All in favor?
Aye.
And wish to vote no or abstain? Passed. Mr. McCallum?
Approve application and payment to Aqua. Move to authorize the application and payment of $7,720 to Aqua to add a 2-inch water service connection and install a meter pit at William Park for the future splash pad to be coded to the 277 Reserve Fund as part of the SAM grant.
Discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Any wish to vote no or abstain? Passed.
approve replacement of a faulty air handling unit, chilled water coil in the town hall boiler system. Move for the adoption of a resolution to approve MCOR Services Petlam lowest quote for the removal and replacement of a faulty air handling unit, chilled water coil for the town hall boiler system, the amount of $9,423, budget code A16240. Other quotes, Airside Technology Corp. for $17,025 and Woodcock and Armani for $12,000.
Second.
Discussion? I have discussion on this. One morning we came to work and the air chiller or the chiller that was in the basement was flooding the basement because it froze. We've been in contact with MRB, Tracy has, and we're going to put in place some new features that will save us from having to replace this again. We also contacted our insurance company, Travelers, who state that this may be an insurance. We can do this under our insurance minus the $2,500 deductible, so it won't cost the full $9,423. Anyone else? Tracy, you want to speak on it at all, or no? All set? All set? Okay, you're welcome. All in favor?
Aye.
And wish to vote no or abstain? Passed. Approve a new member of the youth board. Resolve the town of Cicero approves the appointment of Brandon Swine to the Greater Cicero Community Connections for Youth Board with a term to expire 12/31/24.
Second.
Discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
And wish to vote no or abstain? Pass.
Whereas a copy of the proposed memorandum of understanding between the town of Cicero Police Department and Village of North Syracuse Police Department has been provided to the town supervisor and board members and has been approved by council as to form and content, and is hereby resolved that the town of Cicero approves the proposed agreement as presented and authorizes the town supervisor and police chief to execute the same.
Second.
Discussion? Chief, you want to comment on this? You're all set. Just a mutual agreement between the Cicero and North Syracuse. All in favor?
Aye.
And wish to vote no or abstain? Passed.
Whereas a project for the revitalization and redevelopment of Brewerton PIN 375495 hereinafter the project is eligible for funding under Title 23 United States Code as amended. They call for the apportionment of the costs of such program to be borne at the ratio of 100% federal funds and 0% non-federal funds. And whereas the town approved and entered into a master agreement with the New York State Department of Transportation hereinafter NYSDOT regarding administration of funding of design phases 1 through 6 by resolution dated December 10th, 2014. And whereas NYSDOT has submitted to the town of Cicero supplemental agreement number 2 of the master agreement with the NYSDOT, which now adds the funding allocations for the construction inspection costs in the amount of $261,000. This agreement provides funding allocation in the amounts of $94,215 at 100% federal reimbursement and a local share of $166,785. And whereas on October 21st, 2021, the town of Cicero was awarded a grant from Onondaga County in the amount of $180,000, which will be used to reduce the town's local share requirement. And whereas the town of Cicero desires to advance the above project by making a commitment of 100% of the first instance payments of the total project cost in the amount of $261,000 for the construction and construction inspection phases for the project. Now, therefore, be it resolved, the town of Cicero does hereby approve the project, and be it further resolved that the town is hereby authorized to pay in the first instance 100% of the total project cost for the construction and construction inspection phases in the amount of $261,000 from the appropriate capital account. And it is further resolved that the town supervisor of the town of Cicero is hereby authorized to execute all necessary agreements, certifications, or reimbursement requests for federal aid on behalf of the town of Cicero with the New York State Department of Transportation in connection with the advancement or approval of the project and providing for the administration of the project and the municipality's first instance funding or project costs and permanent funding of the local share, federal aid, and state aid eligible project costs and all project costs within appropriations, therefore, that are not so eligible. And it is further resolved that a certified copy of this resolution be filed with the New York State Commissioner of Transportation by attaching it to any necessary agreement in connection with this project. And be it further resolved, this resolution shall take effect immediately.
Second.
Wow. Discussion.
I love listening to John Reed. It's so.
Kate, do you want to speak on behalf of this? This is a grant that's been going on for a while. I'll let our engineer.
Okay, for a long, long time. In 2007,
the town was awarded a grant called the Schumer Grant, and it was for $780,000. The 2008 strategic plan on Brewerton revitalization was completed under that money. Also, the purchase of the properties on Bennett Street for Riverfront Park was taken with that money. The remaining funds now are being allocated to completing Riverfront Park. 94,000 of it is going to Riverfront Park, and the other 227,000 is going to the Route 11 streetscapes. So this is just a formal agreement, supplemental agreement number 2, that just is allocating those funds where to go. So,
And we have to come up with the money first on portions of it, and then we get reimbursed, correct?
yes, and Elka's very familiar with it. We did it for Darlene's Brook. It's like, that's why we have to do this resolution to say, we will pay it and they will pay us back, the 80% or whatever the amount is.
Okay.
So,
And this part of where does it go from Route 11? From where to where? To the
Well-
bridge to where?
from the bridge down to Guy Young Road.
Okay.
But this is just part of that. We still need a lot more of that. But from the Schumer Grant, we're getting 227,000 that will go to
And
streetscapes.
they're gonna do what? They're gonna do can we pick what we want? Are they going to do cement? Are they gonna do brick pavers?
Well-
Do we know?
Well, there are preliminary plans, but when we do have a design team that we approved, and when we actually get the funding, when we go into a formal agreement, they've been doing a lot of consulting with us, and we don't have an agreement with them. They haven't gotten paid, but I actually spoke to the engineer today, and I said, when we do get going, I think the supervisor and some other people are gonna wanna sit, we're gonna look at the preliminary plans, and then we'll also talk about specific things that we want.
Okay,
So,
perfect. Like lighting and stuff like that.
right,
Excellent.
so,
And Nancy and I with you, we did those.
yes.
Yeah,
That's exactly
Yeah.
what we did that for.
we saw the potential of some pretty creative stuff, so. yeah.
Right, yeah.
The
I think
next-
it's a chance, if I can just say, so on the town's website is this 2008 revitalization plan for the hamlet of Brewerton. It's got a great vision for the hamlet of Brewerton. And when, if you read that, you'll, for people who don't see it, it really can show you what Brewerton can be. And we're piecemealing these little tiny steps very slowly, and hopefully we can get to some of that vision. It's my thought, so,
Mine as well.
okay, great.
And I'm sure the boards as well. Anyone else? Discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. And wish to vote no or abstain? Passed.
Ms. Councilman, with this next resolution, I'm going to strike the words Justice Department and replace them with the word courts. In the record, since the courts are a branch of government, not a department.
No
Thank you.
break, John. How about that? No break, back to back.
I know, right? I went
Wow.
meetings before without any resolutions. Move the adoption of resolution to approve and accept the 2019, 2020, and 2021 Town of Cicero Courts audit conducted and completed by Ben and Company CPAs PLLC. The report of this audit is filed in the town clerk's office.
Second.
Discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Any wish to vote no or abstain? Passed. The number, what is it, number 11? Chris asked me to remove it from the agenda, and I'm gonna let him speak a little bit why.
Only because the way things are so volatile in the world right now with oil prices, I'd like to get a better feel of where asphalt prices are gonna be once the plant opens in April.
And I agree.
I think it's a better way to go.
I agree.
Yes.
Thanks, Chris. Number 11 is removed from the agenda. Number 12,
Approved purchase of drainage pipe. Town board approval to Steel Sales, supplier for Advanced Drainage Systems, Inc., ADS, state contract number PC 69053 in the amount of $15,000. Budget code DB 511045.
Second.
discussion. All in favor?
Aye.
Any wish to vote no or abstain? Passed.
Approved purchase of stone and gravel. Town board approves the purchase of 1,800 tons of stone and gravel, item number 4 from Earl Becker Construction Incorporated. County contract number 0010520 in the amount of $25,000 from budget code DB 511242.
Second.
Discussion. All in favor?
Aye.
Anyone wish to vote no or abstain? Passed.
Approve purchase of runner crush. Town board approval for the purchase of 2,250 tons of runner crush from TH Kinsella Inc., county contract number 0010520, in the amount of $25,000 from budget code DB 511042.
Second.
Who seconded that?
He got me.
John beat me.
No, he got me.
Okay,
think you beat me every
Mr.
time.
Bacallo. All in favor?
Aye.
Anyone wish to vote no or abstain? Passed.
And all these items are for upcoming road projects, drainage projects.
Well, we probably want to buy them now before
Yeah.
the prices go up.
Mhm. And approve rentals of sweeper. Town board approval for the 2-month rental of a vac truck from CNS Sweeping, county bid number 3943, in the amount of $16,000 from account code DB 514048.
Second.
Discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Anyone wish to vote no or abstain? Passed.
Thank you.
Thank you, Chris.
Move for the adoption of a resolution to approve an expenditure in an amount not to exceed $13,000 for information technology services that include email and cloud storage for all town employees and town board members to be paid from the ARPA fund.
Second.
Discussion? I'd like to get a little overview on this. We're updating our technology in the town. And does Michael want to speak on it?
Yeah, we're just moving up to a more collaborative platform online, better connect our different town boards together with cloud storage, better backups. Just modernizing and updating.
And improving our ability to collaborate and more efficiently.
Excellent. Thanks, Wayne. Thanks, Michael. Any more discussion? No? All in favor?
Aye.
Anyone wish to vote no or abstain? Passed.
Approve the retention and disposition schedule for New York Local Government Records LGS-1. Move the adoption of resolution approving and adopting the retention and disposition schedule for New York Local Government Records LGS-1 issued pursuant to Article 57-A of the Arts and Cultural Affairs Law. The new law contains legal minimum retention records for local government records and it is hereby adopted for use by all officers in legally disposing of valueless records listed therein. It is also further resolved that in accordance with Article 57-A, only those records will be disposed of that are described in retention and disposition schedule for New York Local Government Records LGS-1 after they have met the minimum retention records described therein. B, only those records will be disposed of that do not have sufficient administrative, fiscal, legal, or historical value to merit retention beyond established legal minimum periods.
Second.
Discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Anyone wish to vote no or abstain? Passed.
The board approves the hiring of Amy O'Mara as a part-time administrative assistant, whereas the comptroller's office has an opening and a need to fill administrative assistant position. Now therefore be it resolved, the town board approves the hiring of Amy O'Mara effective 3/21/22 at a pay rate of $20 per hour, 20 hours per week, contingent on passing her drug test and physical. Budget code A1 3151.
Discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Anyone wish to vote no or abstain? Passed. We'll go on to our, if I can find my list here, board discussion. Does anyone have anything under board discussion?
No.
I have a few things. So it's been determined that adding a resolution to our, during discussion is not illegal. But with that being said, the board will do our best not to bring up items on this, on the agenda, or on the, not placed on the agenda. Right, correct. Brush pickup will begin on March 28th. If anybody's looking for some information, I know it was later, but I had Ian in the office the other day and he wants to pick it up earlier. It's not going to cost the town any money. I advised him we're okay with that. Steve Procopio, do you have anything to talk about in regards to businesses coming to the town? Or in front of the planning board that you wish to? Sure.
Probably coming up in the near future, you're gonna be seeing entire in the Air Park, 60,000 square foot distribution facility for their tire business.
Your bike's not working.
This better?
There you go.
You'll also be seeing Popeyes pretty soon next to the Dairy Queen on Route 11. Recently, there was an approval for a fitness club on Route 31, former location of, I think Carm's Dog House was there, and Grand International was there years ago too, there across the street from McDonald's. Route 31 in Bridgeport, restaurant was approved a couple months back. I expect that will probably go into construction this spring. Family restaurant, farm to table type restaurant. I mean, probably people have seen the Milton Cat under construction down on Eastman Road and Northern Boulevard. Those are a few things, but there's
Thanks.
others. Yeah.
Great.
Maybe Nancy has a couple she's thinking about.
The car wash.
The car wash. The car wash is under review with the planning board right now, right? Well, that one's under, that's
That was approved.
and starting
Approved.
construction. I'm thinking of the auto body on Route 31 that's currently under review. Yeah.
Steve, I spoke to Fire Chief Pat Brennan today. He wanted to thank you for all your help with the stuff that you've been working on with the North Syracuse Fire Department.
Yep.
So I was requested to, or actually some residents asked for some information about the police department. And I'm going to try to do this monthly. I will let you know that let me find it. Here it is, right in front of me. Calls, 2022 calls were from January 1 to February 28th, 2022. There were 3,392 calls, and there were 60 arrests that the police department made from that time. I have an annual report that the chief put out. Chief, do you want to talk about it a little bit, or if I'll share it with everybody?
On our website, it's a PDF.
I'd like to also congratulate the Cicero Police Department and Chief Rotuno for this year's PERMA Pioneer Safety Award. They were selected this year. You want to speak about that?
This is something that I learned of last year at the Chiefs Conference.
I know. It was.
Something I picked up last year at the Chiefs Conference, and how all hard work. So we put it back together. Have to admit, really paid best to see.
Thank you, Chief.
Good work, Chief.
Move on to the Highway Department. I want to thank Chris Woznicka, his foreman, for taking the time out and cleaning up. And want to speak, Chris, on behalf of what the drainage, what they've been doing out there, your guys, in what areas. And I can tell you that they did a project over off Lakeshore. Chris will speak on it. That saved us probably over 50,000 by having our own men do it.
Yeah, we did some drainage work on the corner of Button Road and Lake Shore, opening up some swales that have been neglected over the years.
And you're doing one over by,
Off of South Bay Road, running from Palm Summit right through to Darby Farms.
excellent. Excellent, thank you. Kate, you want to speak on behalf of Mud Creek? We got some good news the other day.
We were selected part of the Infrastructure Investment and Jobs Act funding. We put in applications to the Natural Resources Conservation Service. And so we were selected to have a preliminary investigation feasibility report for Mud Creek done at no cost to the town. So basically the NRCS, they have agreements with different consultants. So they will contract a consultant, probably some national firm, but they'll come here. We'll show them our issues in Mud Creek, mostly the sedimentation, and they will do a feasibility report for us. It may advance to design and construction, possibly it may not, but we'll see what their recommendations are.
That's awesome.
Excellent. Just to let the residents know that there were photos, I spoke to, our assessor, and I had some concerns about some of the photos being updated on the OnGov website. She reached out to them, whoever the people that manage it, and they actually put up, several new photos up on the website, so it seems to be current. I'm not sure about exact current, but it seems to be more current than it's been in the past. So all we have to do, I think, is make a phone call to them and they're willing to put it up there. We know that Chick-fil-A possibly may be going into the village of North Syracuse. I reached out to the owner of Basil Leaf and I welcome him with open arms to come to our town. And he said, it's a little far off right now, but he'll consider it. So I just want to let you know that we're reaching out to some of these places.
That's where the Chick-fil-A is gonna go?
Yeah, that's where they,
Oh, I
that's where they're
didn't know
trying to
that.
buy property up there, correct? I'd like to pass along this idea to the town board and think about requiring, when any new neighborhoods get built in our town, that they require the builder to make the road wider and put maybe a bike lane and walk lane on the side of the road. So they have some place to walk, especially with people these days walking, kids walking in the road. We can get them to the side of the road and people biking. And it's an easier way when these, especially when the neighborhoods off Lakeshore Road are being built. It would help so they don't have to run or walk on Lakeshore and they can feel safer in their own neighborhood. I'm just throwing that out there. And also like to, I know we don't have a mandatory lighting district in any of the new neighborhoods, but I'd like to have that looked at as well. So the neighborhoods can be lit up at night. And maybe a local law to restrict people from leaving their basketball hoops in the roadway or hanging over. I know there was several calls previous years that buses hit them and trucks come by and struck them, and even a fire truck. So those are what I like to look at.
Mr. Procopio, I'm sorry to interrupt. Isn't there something in the, buried somewhere in the code that when a new residential subdivision is created, isn't a lighting district supposed to be created?
In the subdivision regulations, it is addressed if it's required by the planning.
Okay, so the question is, it's not mandatory, the plan, yeah, okay.
Yep.
Well, we can fix that. Because I agree, it should be, we've dealt enough with adding lighting districts to neighborhoods that didn't have them and dealing with people that were charged for lights they didn't have and
Yeah.
not paying for lights they did have, that, yeah, that should be a requirement. I agree. We did look into the basketball when I first got on the board in like 2016.
I remember.
We looked
That's
into
what
it, yeah, and we ended up not taking any action. There's a lot of negative public reaction to that, a surprising amount of opposition really to that, if I remember
Chief, it's just,
correctly.
if anything that you're, like I'm just talking to a screen, I'm sorry. If there's anything that your team can do, just to, I'll help out, just board, we all have, yeah, we all have social media. The best thing we can do is try to help out and just try to let everybody know when you're done playing, if you could please just put it back in your yard.
Mr. McCollum, our office has historically put flyers out at residences. When we see those, it's a courtesy to request them.
And that's nothing to say that if we do pass a local law, that we can have the police department on their tours through the neighborhoods and see one, they can leave a nice note on the door advising them of the regulation. We're not necessarily going to take people and issue them tickets. I think it's more of a courtesy to let them know that, to try to keep them out of the roadway. I know kids have no place to sometimes play. And I think there's one more on my list here that I need to speak about is we had an accident, serious accident in front of the highway department last week. And I contacted DOT again to see if we can revisit the light up there. So I want to let you know that I'm going to push hard to see what we can do. I know they said no before, but we'll see what we can do. I mean, that's the only thing we can do is try. Anyone else?
Can we, as a group, do the best we can with DOT and to get the weeds knocked down by 81, 481? It just looks disgusting.
We will work on that.
I'll go out there with a weed whacker with you again if you want.
I mean, I'll do it I'll do it again, but it's hard to keep up with.
No, it is. They grow fast.
And last thing, at the last meeting, we had a gentleman from the town, Mr. Sam Anderson, advised the street light wasn't working. And I just want to let everybody know that the next day, the street light was up and running. Anyone else before we open the floor? No? We'll open the meeting if anyone wish to come up and speak. You want to come up first?
My name again, or
Sure.
Pete Nazarenko, 7042 Lakeshore. So it's about item 4, the splash park. So my main questions first would be on process, because my first comments were there was no notice to the resident that anything like this was coming, right? Or am I incorrect?
We will not address that, but Teresa, you want to address it?
What do you mean, like a public hearing on it?
Yeah, or just something to tell the residents, hey, we're looking to, change the park, put a splash park in. So
It's been brought up at some meetings here, but no, mainly more through the Parks Committee and the Youth Board and, through our social media with the Parks program.
So it seems like it's a reverse process because you don't have a budget yet, but it's approved, right?
If you,
Was it pa- it was
if you'd
passed
like to
tonight?
come in and speak with me one-on-one, I'd be happy to.
Absolutely. Well, not one-on-one. I have my neighbors here too.
Oh, okay,
They just
sure,
want to know.
sure.
It seems, if I'm correct, you guys have passed this, right? It's a go?
I will set up a
Just-
meeting with
Well,
you.
just tonight mainly. What happened was we had to submit for a grant application. Okay,
Understood.
and we found out in December, I think, is when we got notification that we were awarded the grant. And probably a month before that, we got notification that our submission was chosen, that Assemblyman Sturpey wanted to back it.
Okay.
So then the next step was DASNY came back to us and said, we need a financial review, more fine tune of your budget. And that's what we're in the process of now. That needs to be submitted at the end of this week. And then they'll do their review, give their endorsement, and then they'll send us an agreement, and that'll have to get board approved too. But before they'll do that, they have to see that we're committed to the project.
Right, but I think I heard the board just said the project's approved.
It's approved on our end as long as DASNY gets back to us and says that they approve the financial burden. They're tasked with finding out
But
that we
should
have
we
the
know
funding.
that before the board approves something? I don't know if
Well,
we're
that's not the
discussing-
process.
So, yeah, and I would like to meet with you, Michael, on a private,
missing
but I just
We'll
want to,
be,
I want to get some questions answered for. So is it a prevailing rate project?
Oh, yeah, yes.
Okay,
Yes.
so your budgets, it's going to be prevailing rate. So I have like a ton of questions, so should I just address them?
and you
to
can
Teresa, or,
make an appointment. I'll have Teresa there. I'll have another board member there, and we'll meet with you. We'll meet with the neighbors over there, and we'll let you know exactly what's going to happen at the park.
so I just want, the clarification though is, even though you're going through the process to find out if it's viable, it's already approved. Yes? Does it,
Yeah,
am I
well,
nuts?
it's approved as long as DASNY gets back to us and then gives us the mutual agreement that we have to sign.
But shouldn't the public have some input on that?
You can meet.
I don't
with
know
us.
the process, guys, so I'm sorry if I'm.
I'm
Just
sorry,
address it.
we're not here to answer questions. You can address the board with what you have,
Okay.
but we will be more than happy to meet with you about this.
Okay, so are other locations considered, like Plank Road, where there's no residents or anything like that around?
Yes, others have been considered over the years. So the reason, and this was brought up in the last few meetings actually here too, how William was picked, basically because of having the bathhouse there. And one of the main focuses or reasons why we did that was because we haven't been able to open the swimming area in the last several years.
Right.
And the desire basically from the town was that we didn't foresee that that was going to be viable again in the future. So to
So,
provide an
okay.
aquatic,
so there is an environmental impact study done already, or that's in the process?
that's in the process right now.
Okay, so if there's water quality issues, this water is gonna have chlorine in it. So where's that water gonna go?
So yeah, it's very specific to, what, it's going to go out through the sewer. We're connecting into,
the sewer.
that's what this aqua application
Okay.
was for. And we also had to, yeah, we met with representatives of DEC, so they've come out and, we've passed all the preliminary things of, making sure there's no, negative, at this point, no negative impact, and we had to show that we're,
But you haven't found, there's no study done yet, so we don't know.
right, we're in the middle of that now. DEC gave us the, met with us and gave me that feedback, but I'm waiting for the actual report in hand. Correct.
So I could say 10 times. Just seems weird that the impact study hasn't been done, the budget, but it's approved. So there's something wrong.
Well, and you can stay after the meeting, we can talk about it, but this approval is contingent on those things happening.
But
This is
that's
the
not what it
process that
sounded
We have
like.
to go.
Okay, as long as, okay, so that's going on the record. It's contingent upon that, but it should be contingent upon feedback from the residents too. Like, is there a better area for it where there's no residents around, like Mud Mill Park?
I'm sorry, I'm just going to break protocol for a
Go ahead.
second here. You saw the minutes. We discussed this and spent quite a bit of time discussing it. If the videos are online from the previous meetings, and a lot of us had questions about alternate locations. And we discussed actually one of the last meetings after voting on something, saying that we had discussions further with her and determined this was the only practical location at this time. And we would risk losing the grant if we wanted to push it someplace else. And Ms. Roth discussed the reasons behind the funding being, well, you can watch the videos.
Okay,
Mainly
No, but
because of no bathhouse, no water, no paved parking. I mean,
Understood.
those would cost $400,000 or $500,000.
Since-
right, but it was brought up about bike paths, walking paths. There's already issues with traffic on Lake Shore Road, and now you're just gonna add more. So, but I'll get all my questions put around. I'll get the neighbors to have the questions also. And how do I go about setting up a meeting?
Just call my office. We'll set something up. I'm
Okay.
free whenever you're.
And I can show you what I have after the
Okay,
meeting if you
well,
want. as
no,
well.
I'm
We-
good. I'll
We
get
can
the-
meet after hours if you want. I'm flexible.
Okay, I guess last question was time frame on this, because they're already surveying and doing all that, right?
We just had the survey done a couple weeks ago. Today they were out there marking some things, but no, the timeline, initially was, fall of this year, through spring of next year for it potentially to open, summer of 23.
Okay.
But that's given if the material,
Right,
everything.
because you guys keep saying you're gonna hold to that budget. I don't think it's realistic. It's prevailing
It,
rate.
it will be because if.
Nothing's come in on
It,
budget.
it will
ever.
be, it will be, because if she can't build something, she will remove it.
We're gonna remove perfectly good playground equipment to put in new playground equipment in this environment right now. Nothing comes in on budget. So,
Yeah, the playground that's coming out though isn't to code, and that's the big problem. And the surfacing is definitely not to code. So, I tied that in with this project knowing that we were gonna have to rip that out.
okay, all right, I'll get a meeting set up.
You got it.
Thanks.
Anyone else?
Tom Snyder, Engineer Drive.
Move your mic down. You can pick it up if you want. There you go.
The board approved the reduction in our roads a number of years ago. So I think, and we supposedly we're going to save a lot of money and all that kind of stuff. There were some of us in the town that didn't agree with that. I'm glad that you're sitting up there now saying it's kind of ridiculous what we did. So that kind of a rule or regulation law needs to be done by you. So the planning board then in fact has that to say, hey guys, this is the size road we want. And if you in fact want to have bicycle lanes, well, the same thing goes with sidewalks. We have some sidewalks that we ask people to do. We don't have it in front of our building, but we're asking other people to put sidewalks in as they do work along Route 11. And the state, of course, just spent a lot of money on Route 11 and on Route 31 footbacks. So we just need to have you all look at that. The question on item number 8, you approved this nice agreement with North Syracuse, but you didn't tell us what you're agreeing to. Are we agreeing to fill in officers when they're not there? What did we agree with, what did we, when we approved that thing, Chief?
Chief, you want to speak on it?
First of all, this is stuff that we already do, okay? Whit and Manley has an MOU. Solvay, Gettys, and Camillus have an MOU. What's an MOU? Mutual,
Understanding of understanding.
okay? So say, we have a traffic stop and we need a DRE, drug recognition expert. North Syracuse has one. They can send them up here to Cicero to help us out. Also, they're gonna be having a drone program that we, if they have an incident down in North Syracuse, and we know that law enforcement patrols few and far between in Salina and Clay, and it's the Clay portion of North Syracuse, and you have a North Syracuse car screaming for help, we can go. So it's just, the stuff we already do. They come in, we're fighting with somebody over, Lowe's or Price Chopper, they're coming. They're having an issue down there, we're going. I submitted all the paperwork on the MOU. I'm assuming it's gonna be on the website. It's attached to the minutes. The town attorney has looked at it and approved it. And stuff to do. It's just really a technicality and legal. Answered? I thank you, Chief. And that's the kind of stuff that we need, there have been some people, and I was one of them for a while, that had some questions about whether we should have a department. What I have found from new chief and explanations he's made, and Mike, for things that you've done, like the numbers that you printed, we need the police department. I can't believe I'm saying it now, but I am. But a lot of us had ignorance on what they do. We need to know what they do. It irks me that the police department, as near as I can tell, sends the newspaper their activity, yet the newspaper decides to print what part of that activity. I know there's no number showing 60 arrests in this time frame in the paper, because I see 3 or 2 or 3. So, right off the bat, when you think your police department are just sitting in cars or they're eating donuts, they're not doing that. They're getting 3,392 calls. Well, figure that out for the number of days. That's a lot of calls per day. And that's 24-hour period. Chief, the one thing about your report, and this happened here, the report is got a lot of black background. It cost a fortune to print that thing. I was wondering if there's a way that you can do
Here.
that. So
Here,
it's, it's white with black printing.
there you go. I have a copy for you because I knew you would ask. I just knew you would ask.
Yeah, but still, I thank you very much for that. But I think again, if you could make the letters black and the white could be there, people don't go through a black cartridge printing this report. And the report is great. I love it. But I had trouble reading it because when I got done printing it, it was so much black. But they love black. Yeah, but we're blue.
I think what happens is, Chief, and given Mr. Snyder copy here is come out, it's nothing that you've done. I think it's just printers that print it out like that print it out dark because there's a background or something in there.
Yeah.
It might be a little bit darker.
Color
Yeah.
print, not a black. and
Right,
white.
right.
Yeah.
That's in color, actually. I didn't print
Was
it.
that really?
Chief, maybe you can just have the Word document made into a PDF, and then you can just read.
Yeah, the one.
Is it? Okay, good.
We're good.
Yeah, it was on the website last year, and that's when I printed it. And that's when I went, kind of crazy with all the black.
Copy? Mike, that's a color copy? No. That's my hand.
Sorry, Chief, mistakes too. The last thing, I think we just need to make sure the board doesn't need to be involved in some of these problems. And the reason I say that is because I know when we did the highway garage, the planning board, not because I'm on it, but because the plan had to in fact agree with that. I don't know if the planning board needs to be involved with a splash pad, but it's on a, I think Lake Shore at that point is a county road. No, town road. Okay.
No,
We don't need that. But for example, we make every vendor in our town put in asphalt paving if they're going to have people to facility. The only way we let them put in gravel is if it's a storage area that the public normally does not do. So with that in mind, we got to think about, you know, that we do what we're asking our people and corporations and what in the town do. So we might want to look at that and see how we can accomplish that. Because at the splash pad, it would mean we've got some paving to do if, and again, that relates to.
Are you talking about the parking lot? Sorry,
Pardon?
are you
Yeah.
talking about,
Yeah.
so it already is, the two areas of the parking lot are already paved. But that back area, my intent originally with this plan was to pave that, and a big portion of the money was going to go to that, but because of our proximity to the wetland, we cannot. It has to be porous pavement, so they would not allow asphalt paving. So we can't do that. So we're going with a much cheaper, it brought it from $204,000 down to basically $8,000 because we're gonna do compacted crush, run across and stripe it.
Okay.
Can't pave the wetland area.
Oh, well, there is permeable pavement.
Yeah, it's like
Yeah.
triple the cost of asphalt.
Well, that might be, but the point is, well, we gotta be careful that we don't ask our people that are building in this town to do something that we don't do. Probably shouldn't even be building in the wet. Most cases, you could have 100-foot buffer between the wetland and what you're using. So if you shouldn't be paving wetlands, so we gotta be careful with that too.
We're not building anything in there, just so you know. We're not changing anything. We're just getting rid of some dead vegetation and improving adding some stone to improve that area.
Because I'm gonna park there.
Correct. Right now, it's been gated off. It's been a parking lot, but it's just been gated off and not used.
thanks. Anyone else? I thought somebody else wanted to come up back there. Oh, he did. Okay. Okay. Does anybody else need a copy before I leave tonight of the annual report? I'm just asking.
Hello again. This splash pad is a wonderful idea, and that takes care of the 10 and under group. I'm asking the board again to consider subsidizing training for lifeguards. We have a wonderful beach that many towns would just love to have. We should make it available and usable by all family members. And I think if we're willing to invest that much in the 10 and under group, a few $100s for a teenager to give them a skill that they could use throughout high school and college for summer jobs is not much to risk. The other thing that I'd like to ask about is last year, the town board created a in-house comprehensive committee that we have not heard of since August. They've never met, it's never been formed. And either you need to get moving with that or you need to formally disband it. Thank you.
Thank you. Anyone else? No? Anyone else here? No? Wish to close the meeting?
So moved.
7:48 PM. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.